From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now all the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, September 17th. A really comfortable start, but we're going to warm things up today. Lots of sunshine with highs in the upper 80s, about 10 degrees higher than average this time of year. And a dramatic crash on the northwest side of Indianapolis sent a woman to the hospital. According to IMPD, the woman was driving southbound on Zionsville Road, going pretty fast. That's when police say her minivan went airborne into a neighborhood, crashing into a house. Officers tell us the minivan struck a gas line and an electric box, which sparked a house fire. So the scene is on Pillory Circle near 62nd and Zionsville Road. We're told one person was inside at the time, was able to get out. Part of the house is severely damaged. Most of that damage is to the garage. There were two vehicles inside. That's according to police. When officers got there, the suspect driving the vehicle had already left. She was later arrested and taken to Eskenazi Hospital. Police say the woman could face charges for DUI and leaving the scene of an accident. There is some minor damage to the surrounding houses, and there were no other injuries. State police have issued a silver alert for 8-year-old Ryan Turner. ISP says he's missing from Greensburg. According to troopers, he was last seen Wednesday morning with his non-custodial mother, Alicia Turner. They were in a gray Jeep Compass with a license plate P162542. That's P162542. If you see Ryan, you're asked to call 911. If you'd like to see his picture, we have that for you on wishtv.com. Today, the FDA meets to consider a third dose of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for most Americans. The committee plans to look at data from 3 recent reports. So yesterday, we reported that there were reports that suggested boosters could restore immunity that is lost over time. So we asked Wish TV's medical expert and former Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams about his expectations.
It's really hard to tell with all the information and conflicting information coming out of Washington, D.C. at the moment what the FDA will do. But based on what I've seen, I think that most scientists will agree that these vaccines are both safe and effective as a booster. I think that they may parse it by certain groupings. Number one, people who are immunocompromised, as the CDC's already recommended. Number two, people who are over the age of 60. And the new data out of Israel suggests that those are the individuals where you're most likely to see immunity go down. And then number three, people under 60.
Dr. Adams says the committee will consider the safety and effectiveness of a third dose in their decision. The meeting is set to start at 8:30 this morning. If a third dose is approved by the FDA, it would still require approval from the CDC before most Americans can get it. And 125 people no longer work at IU Health because they refuse to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Officials say they're putting the safety of patients and team members first with the requirement. The health network initially gave employees until September 1st to get the shot, then put anyone who didn't get it on a 2-week suspension, and now that suspension has run out of time. The state health department is trying to show the difference COVID-19 vaccines can make. So the department shared a new version of a graphic that first came out in August. The new one is looking at the first week of September, and it has a similar takeaway. Far more unvaccinated people are having serious problems. So if you take a look at the map online, there is a person, kind of a symbol, which represents 10 people. So what it shows is hospitalizations, nearly 1,700 in all but 20 were not fully vaccinated. So vast majority fully vaccinated. In the intensive care, more than 300 in the ICU, and about 97% were not fully vaccinated. Deaths, 208 across the state last week, and the overwhelming majority were not fully vaccinated. And you can get a shot or a test at Indianapolis Motor Speedway starting next week. A 5-week clinic begins Tuesday. The state health department is offering testing and the Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. The clinic will be outside the track in the IndyCar parking lot along 16th Street. IMS says it has vaccinated more than 90,000 people so far this year. And President Biden is directing OSHA to issue the vaccine mandate for companies with more than 100 employees. The requirement covers 80 million Americans. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita wants the president to reconsider the mandate. Rokita issued a statement calling it an example of government overreach. He acknowledges the vaccines have protected millions of Americans, but the mandate prevents room for discussion and disagreement. A field of flags is on display at the National Mall in Washington. It is called United in Grief. The display features around 665,000 white flags. Each one represents a person in America who lost their life to the coronavirus. A new flag will be added for each new death. People who visit will be allowed to personalize flags to honor someone they lost. Anyone who cannot make it to the exhibit can write a dedication online, and a volunteer will write it down on a flag. The tribute stays in place until October 3rd. The House committee investigating the January 6th riot on Capitol Hill is interested in one top U.S. general's records. The committee is asking for the records of calls General Mark Milley made to his counterparts in China during then-President Trump's last few months in office. A spokesman for the general says the calls were meant to reassure the Chinese military. He adds they were also part of his responsibilities as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. As we've reported, those same calls are gaining attention after being described in an upcoming book. News of the calls is causing some lawmakers to demand General Milley's resignation. And people are helping Afghan refugees at Camp Atterbury with a surge of donations. Mosques and other Muslim organizations tell our multicultural reporter Katir Winfrey that thousands of dollars and items are pouring in.
We literally had assembly line here the last 2 days.
All of this is the work of a congregation looking to make a difference. Ahmed Alamin is imam at the Masjid Al-Farja Mosque and says looking out for your fellow man is a key part of Muslim teachings.
Instantly, we decided to activate the Muslim Task Force.
Initially, hygiene items topped the list of immediate needs, and the needs were met in abundance. Both adults and children packing care packages, complete with a welcoming note.
We understand that there is a spiritual need and there is a mental support need because these families come from war-torn country.
This type of support is happening all around central Indiana. Nearly every mosque is collecting the necessary items needed, laid out by the Red Cross and Team Rubicon, the organization coordinating efforts at Camp Atterbury. The Muslim Alliance of Indiana also plays a key role. Fatima Hussein is board president.
What started off as a handful of individuals either collecting donations or collecting items has now pretty quickly scaled up to almost every local mosque.
The immediate needs have now shifted to things like new or gently used culturally appropriate clothing and pants for both men and women and shoes for kids.
We also want them to know that there's a community out there that is thinking about us beyond just, pants and shirts.
Alamin says that's something we can all help fulfill. And based on the support, there is compassion, and you don't need to speak a common language to feel it.
That was Katira Winfrey reporting. Representatives say clothes and shoes are the biggest priorities. Right now, there's a need for smaller clothing and shoes ranging from sizes 5 to 8. Now, IMPD is actively increasing its presence around school zones after a deadly crash. Newsday's David Williams was actually at the scene where a 7-year-old was killed on Tuesday for his live shot. He witnessed the efforts firsthand and then speak to police as they right then and there were pulling someone over for speeding in a school zone.
Somebody's going through a school zone, they should expect that an IMPD officer is there.
Speeding past schools is a problem that is not only noticed by adults, but by some young students, too.
Sometimes I see cars speeding past the blinking lights.
A lot of folks treat these streets, especially around the schools, for some reason like it's part of Interstate 70. And they don't obey the traffic laws. They're on their phones.
Police are still investigating a crash that killed Hannah Crutchfield and injured her mother and a crossing guard. According to police, 2 drivers got into a disturbance while driving, which caused one to crash into a third vehicle. The Father's House is showing its support for IMPD officers during this morning's roll call. It's the 13th year the church is hosting an IMPD roll call. This morning, the church is providing a meal for every officer in the East and Southeast IMPD districts. The church is also handing out a bag of gifts from local businesses to each officer. The first call is at 5:30 this morning, followed by others at 8, 1:30, and 9:30 tonight. And this morning, barriers are going up around key government buildings in Washington, D.C. ahead of a right-wing rally planned for tomorrow. It's similar to what's up around the U.S. Capitol building. Ryan Nobles has more on the preparations.
It is a sign of the times. workers quickly erecting a massive temporary fence around the United States Capitol, turning what was once the most accessible and public landmark in Washington into an impenetrable fortress, all for a rally this Saturday that organizers concede might not even draw 1,000 people.
The official number we put down is 700.
The intense security posture is the byproduct of the very event these protesters are coming to Washington for, the January 6th insurrection, something security officials did not see coming and were unprepared to handle. They've promised Capitol Hill leadership that this time things will be different.
We just briefed them about the demonstration that's scheduled for September 18th, just the intelligence information that we're aware of and a little bit about our operational plan, about what we plan to do.
The Capitol Police are not taking any chances, in part because this group is coming to call for the release of hundreds of people charged with their role on that deadly day. The TSA is ramping up security at airports. The National Guard and local D.C. police have been asked to be on standby. There are worries some of the protesters may be armed, could be inspired by GOP lawmakers like Paul Gosar, Matt Gaetz, and Andrew Clyde, who, despite being among those under attack on January 6th, now empathize with the rioters.
This overthrows the government fetish that exists. I don't understand it, except there's a lot of bored people out there that probably never served a day in their life in the military and get to go play dress up.
Not one sitting Republican member of Congress is scheduled to attend. A few GOP candidates challenging Republicans who voted to impeach Trump will be there. And one congressman, Ralph Norman, will speak at an event hundreds of miles away in his home state of South Carolina. Still, that is not enough for some in Congress who believe both Republicans and Democrats should be speaking with a common voice and denouncing those who seek to excuse the conduct of those who participated in the January 6th riot.
I think the Capitol will be protected. But I find it any elected official that doesn't call out and denounce these protesters tomorrow, I think does a great disservice to our country.
That was Ryan Nobles reporting. The Department of Homeland Security is warning of potential violence from people involved or from those who oppose the rally. And the family of a woman who disappeared on a cross-country trip is pleading for information. Reed Binion looks at the multi-state effort to find Gabby Petito.
We haven't been able to sleep or eat, and our lives are falling apart.
The parents of missing 22-year-old Gabby Petito made a desperate plea to the parents of their daughter's fiancé in a statement read by their attorney during a press conference Thursday afternoon.
Please, if you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place.
Petito's parents believe she was last in the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming while on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. On August 12th, police in Moab City were called to a possible disorderly conduct situation captured in this body camera video. According to the police report, they encountered the couple engaged in some sort of altercation.
We've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues. He wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated.
Laundrie reportedly returned to Northport, Florida on September 1st, and the van they were traveling in has been recovered. Police say they've spoken to the attorney for Petito's fiancé, but Laundrie is not talking, and many questions remain. In a statement Tuesday, a lawyer for the Laundrie family said they are, quote, remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
And if you're heading downtown this weekend, you'll notice something you might haven't seen in a while. Crowds. Gen Con is underway. It's one of the largest events the city has held since the pandemic, or during the pandemic even. News 8's Sierra Hignite tells us how the event is helping reignite the hospitality industry.
Gen Con is known for bringing in big crowds from all over the country. And after being canceled last year due to the pandemic, both gamers and businesses alike were excited to get this year's convention on the board.
Downtown is bustling again as Gen Con is expected to bring 30 to 40,000 people into the city for the 4-day convention. Many are in from out of town. Where are you from?
I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Amory, Wisconsin.
I'm from Southeast Iowa.
Which means between convention events, they'll be residing in hotels across downtown Indianapolis.
We're actually very close to capacity. We're going to be sold out. We expect pretty much the whole downtown to be close to sold out this weekend. And anytime that happens, it's fantastic.
The convention, which normally has around 70,000 attendees, is downsized this year. However, it's still showing a significant impact in the pocketbook of Indianapolis.
They'll generate a very healthy $37 million in economic impact, which is really, really, really important for our frontline hospitality men and women who depend on tourism for a paycheck.
Experts in the hospitality industry say when Indianapolis successfully pulled off the March Madness tournament, it gave other organizations like Gen Con confidence that the city can hold a large event safely given the current public health situation.
The proof of concept that Indianapolis can host events during the pandemic started last year, when more than $7 million in health and safety upgrades were put inside the Indiana Convention Center.
Now, after a year off, Gen Con fans are able to continue traditions.
I've been coming to Gen Con since probably 2011 with a big crew. And we come every year and we start planning in, well, January, because you have to in order to get a room on the block and everything. We love it. It's one of the highlights of the year.
It does feel smaller, but it's still definitely a fun event that I would be very sad to miss.
And the hospitality industry is able to get back on their feet and bring back staff full-time and keep them busy.
Really, especially the last 2 or 3 months that it's really started to transition and being busy all week long versus just weekends.
Gen Con continues throughout the weekend with the final events wrapping up on Sunday. Reporting, I'm Sierra Hignite, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And week 5 of high school football, and our sports team will be covering 22 games. That includes the big matchup between Warren Central and Ben Davis. It is our game of the week. You can watch all the action live on our sister station, Miami TV 23, starting at 7. And you can get a taste of the Middle East in central Indiana today. The annual St. George Festival is back this year. The St. George Orthodox Christian Church didn't put it on last year because of the pandemic. Organizers say there'll be food, live music, dancing, and a silent auction. It's at the church in Fishers off 116th Street near Cumberland Road. It starts today at 5. Saturday and Sunday, it starts at 1. And a business headline. Some senators say they'll investigate Facebook after the Wall Street Journal reported on Instagram's negative effect on mental health. Senators Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut and Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee say they want to know what Facebook knew and if they took any steps to prevent the mental health harm on young girls. Starting today, consumers can pre-order the iPhone 13, the latest version of Apple's popular smartphone. The new iPhones will ship September 24th, although due to supply chain and shipping issues, customers may have to wait longer for their new smartphone to arrive. Chinese media reports there is already strong demand for the new generation iPhones. President Joe Biden said his administration is looking into high gasoline prices. Oil prices have risen 50% so far this year, with global demand for fuel roaring back after COVID-19 wiped out consumption last year. AAA says gasoline prices rose to $3.19 per gallon Wednesday, the highest since October 2014. The supermarkets have already started Thanksgiving shopping. The Wall Street Journal says fears of a shortage of holiday staples like turkey, cranberries, and spices have forced groceries to begin stocking up now. And Chick-fil-A CEO says 30% of people drive away because the chain's drive-through lines are so long. The chicken chain had the longest wait time out of the 10 quick service chains tested at 541 seconds, or about 9 minutes. It's in the 2021 QSR drive-through study. Chick-fil-A is using technology like having employees take orders on tablets in the line to keep drive-thrus moving efficiently. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com. allindianapodcastnetwork.com.